Hey, everybody, we're here for a new episode of Five for Talking. It's going to be mostly a Leafs edition, I think. We might not even go into NHL, but if we do, we do. Caps does have caffeine. If anyone's interested in knowing about that, he has it. He has some questions prepared that he's going to ask me. I don't know anything about the questions. I made sure he didn't tell me about the questions. And now we will begin to review Money in the Bank Toronto.
Well, nice hat. Um, I mean, you kind of know where I'm going with the questions, but you don't know exactly what kind of questions I'm going to ask. But um, I just wanted to have a Leaf discussion. We're coming off a week where the C has been changed. It's now an Auston Matthews. A few things have happened during the off season, but I'm just wondering, like, because we never had a chance to discuss this, but you know, they talked about big changes. Do you think that they've done enough for this next season? Like, are you pumped about the new season, or are you kind of let down with some of the things that they've done? Overall, how do you feel going into next season?
Uh, wow, that's a lot of question. Um, I feel this is about the same as I feel every year with them, just preparing for disappointment. At this point, I don't think there's really an option other than getting Connor McDavid or like Nathan McKinnon, David Pastrnak. That's gonna make me be like, okay, we're this year's the year. Like it just doesn't because we had the year of the Joe Thornton year where we were like, wow, this is the maybe the best team on paper, name value wise, that we've ever had in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Then the next year they retooled and they were like, wow, maybe for what we specifically need, this is the best team we've had ever on the Leafs roster. Then that didn't work out. Then last year we went into it and it was like, well, actually, you know what? We retooled in the opposite direction. Maybe this is what we need, and this might be the best roster we've seen in a long time. And no, it wasn't that either. So it's hard for me to be excited. I do like the goalie situation. I'm still not a massive Wall fan, but I can't complain really about it. Like we don't have
How
the
do you
money to
feel
go
about the
higher.
defense? How do you feel about the
I
defense?
think they made smart moves. I like the moves they made. You don't have room to do anything else than what they did without trading away like a Morgan Riley and getting back like a Drew Doughty. I'm just making an example. It doesn't have to be that. But you can't free up the money without trading the money, and you still, even with those guys, can't bring in that much. Your only piece that you can move is Mitch Marner because he's going to get you money. You're not going to trade Nylander at this point. I'm just going to be honest. And no one's taking John Tavares' contract unless maybe at the trade deadline.
But we know that it's entirely up to them whether they want to, um, you know, uh, take on a request of being traded. Like it's pretty much in their hands. Like
Yeah.
obviously they're kind of handcuffed, but you know, I'm I'm subtly pumped about the season. Obviously because hockey's coming up soon, but I'm curious to see what they do. I do have in the back of my mind that yes, they did make a couple of moves on defense, but you got to understand that these guys, especially Tanev, have never played a full season.
But
And
have any of our defensemen in the last 10 years played a full season?
and that's so true. I mean, I mentioned in our chat the Lilligren thing. I'm a little, you know,
He's
hesitant
someone I would
about,
have moved on from. I'm just going to be honest.
and I'm surprised that they gave him a $1.6 million raise. Um, you know, I'm curious to see what happens. But I don't. It's pretty much, with the exception of three guys, two people on defense and one person in Stellaris. It's pretty much the same team. You know what I
But
mean?
I like that what they've
And they lost
done.
Bertuzzi,
Yeah. Well, but I don't think losing Bertuzzi hurts. I'm going to be honest. Um,
probably one of the
he,
best players in the playoffs last year, but
but so was
obviously it
Max
didn't really.
Domi.
Yeah, yeah. That line was pretty good.
And you
When
had to choose one. And I think if you look at the grand scope of the entire season, Domi was better than Bertuzzi, and that really hurts me to say that because I hate Max Domi. And I'm gonna say that with like real emphasis. Um,
Sheer conviction.
like I really mean it. It's just
Yeah.
someone from the very beginning, from day one, I've always been like, I don't like this guy. As a hockey player, I don't care how he is as a person. Um, yeah, I don't I think what they did was the best they could do. But what I like that they did is the movement of players that they already own. Young guys, getting young guys locked up, bringing up the right young guys, looking into their farm system for young guys, drafting people at this draft that they did. I think that that's what I like that they did in the offseason. And sometimes you win through your system. Sometimes you don't need all star power. Look at Tampa Bay, right? You had a heavy duty two lines, you had some good role players, but it was guys that came up from the farm team in the middle of the season that really made like impacts that stuck there for the next couple seasons.
Yeah. You you kind of touched on where I was going to go with this, but I'm glad you brought up the farm system, and I'm very excited with some of the guys that they got, Fraser Minton and Easton Cowan. I'm curious to see what they do at the NHL level. I feel as though it's a necessary thing, especially in the cap world, hard cap world of the NHL. They're going to really need them next year, not
Mm-hmm.
this year coming, the year after. When I look at the math, when I look at their cap situation, especially with the Leafs, even if they go up $4 million, all right, um, they're still going to be kind of tight towards the cap. Um, let's just say they extend Marner, all right, and they give them a $1.5 million raise. 1.5. Let's whatever. That'll bring them to just north of $12 million a year. Um, Wall is going to get a huge raise,
I'm
and
not
that's going
paying
to.
him.
But it's going to be the new contract. Like I know you're kind of skeptical, but it's pretty much already been done. I guess in your case, I guess the argument that you're going to make is it is a make or break year coming up, and obviously if it doesn't work out, they're going to trade him. But let's just say they do keep him. Let's just say um, you still got Matthew Nyes.
That's okay. Matthew Knives is gonna be, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but
Sorry if you were planning on asking a question.
my question is like even though like the cap goes up and they still got, and even if Tavares takes a $5-6 million cut, the money is already going to go towards three guys, and you're only going to have about $3 million left. They're going to need Easton Cowan and Fraser Min to come up because they're going to have to make some adjustments. Um, I guess like what do you do? You know what I mean? What do you do in that case? Like, I mean, it's going to be difficult. Making some changes. But what do you think of is going to happen with this team a year from now?
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you a lot of information at once here. Um, I'm not paying Wall. I don't care if Wall has a 60 win season. I'm not paying him. Why? Because we don't even know if that's what we're getting. He's proven that he's injury prone. He's proven that he's inconsistent. And it's not to say he's bad. But one big year, is that worth me dumping the bank on you? Because if you look at the way the NHL is going, there's only like five. I'll give it an even 10. 10 goalies getting paid in the NHL. The rest of the goalies are like low budget um duos that are just tandems that are playing, right? And that's like seems to be the new thing because people don't want to pay a goalie. And Justin Wall is not in a category with Hellebuck and Vasilevsky to be getting the big bucks, but the Leafs will pay the big bucks because that's what the Leafs do. As we can see, they throw money at anything and they think that fixes their problem and it puts you in a hole. The Jonathan Tavares situation, I'm actually starting to think that they don't even resign him unless he takes a dirt cheap contract. I think he got he's paid, and in the modern NHL, people don't really go that far. Like we've moved past the days of like the mid 2000s, maybe the late 2000s, where you had guys like Joe Sakic and stuff like that that played until 40 and were still relevant. Nowadays by 33, you're lucky to be on a roster in the NHL. It's starting to kind of get a little better. Like remember that era where like guys like James Neal were getting pushed out of the NHL, and then you go look them up and they're 34 years old, and you're like, he just came off a 40 goal season, and you're like, yeah, he's not getting a roster spot, because no one wants to pay that. But it's kind of we're getting back up there, I think. But like John Tavares is what 32 or 33, and we're already talking about him like he's done. He's a career 70-point guy, but like watch him out there play out there. He's slowly turned from being a Steven Stamkos esque guy, no, obviously not that good, but like in the caliber, to now playing like he's old man Joe Thornton or old man Jason Spezza. If you notice his play style, he doesn't have the go anymore. He's not trying that hard. He's just coasting. And I'm not saying that's forever. It could have just been this season. He did have some high points. But I think it's weird to count him out now at this age. I just think that I don't if the Leafs pay him, they're stupid as F. That's going to be one of the dumbest contracts in the league if you pay him more than $7 million.
Is there a spot for him on this roster?
Yeah, in the third line center role at $5 million, $5.5 million for 3 seasons. That's the
We agree on
contract I would
that.
give him.
We
I'd give him
definitely agree on that.
I'd give him 16 and a half over 3 years. So Matthew Knives, I think Knives. I keep saying Knives. Matthew Knives is an easy slot in, I think. It would, if not next year, if not this year, next year, he will be the easy replacement for either Tavares, Nylander, or Marner. He'll be that new third guy, right? And I think you got to lock him up on a smart deal. Give him eight and a half, 9 million for like 7 years, and just hope that he pans out. And that was the right choice because he's going to be good, but is he going to be elite? I don't know. Do not throw a 10 million, like one of those double-digit million contracts his way. That's not what it is. Lock him up for cheap. And I'm sorry, this sounds really bad, but F him over with a contract that later he's going to regret that he signed because he's worth way more than that. That's what you need to do.
What if he asks for something? What if he asks for a short-term contract, like
if he asks
$4
for
million?
short term and it's going to be a realistic price at like 7 million for like 2 or 3 years, I'll do it. But there's no guarantee that I'm throwing you big bucks later on. I might even try to trade you at the end of it to capitalize on what you're worth. With if let's say the cap goes up 4 million, I don't know what it's going to go up. If you save 5 million ish on John Tavares, you have money to bring somebody in. I don't. Do you re-sign Marner? I don't know. That's a question I want to pose to you. Do you re-sign Marner? And I know like it's just the genuine like I don't like the guy in me. Even though sometimes he's really good, I really want to get rid of Morgan Riley. I know his contract's not big, but I'd rather do anything else with that money because he's gonna come off the books soon. What does he have left? 1 year?
Morgan Riley?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he's.
Oh, we can't even check that
elite.
site anymore. It's gone. No, he not this year
There's
coming.
another
I mean,
cap site now. There's another cap site now.
I think it's not this year. It's the year after is the last season. That's what I meant. One more year.
With Morgan Riley, when I'm looking at the cap, Morgan Riley is signed until 2027, 2028.
Okay, so if he has 3 years, then you don't trade him. You got to keep him for that contract for 3 more seasons. You got to keep him. You don't have. That's the stupidest thing ever to get rid of him. Excuse me, I'm an idiot. Now answer my question.
Okay.
Wait, I want to just pose.
Absolutely.
In any situation, if Marner has a 120-point season, and the Leafs make it to the finals, but they lose, okay, everything barring the Leafs winning the cup is on the table. Do you re-sign Mitch Marner at over $12 million?
See, the one thing that we didn't talk about before this is, you asking me questions, but
yeah, but I this is just throwing one out there.
It's got to be, man, it's got to be realistic. I mean, if they go out and have a successful season this year and they make it to the finals, then that just pretty much proves that they have the ability to do it. I would give them that one. I would give them a bit of a raise. It's got to be, it's got to work. If he's going to ask for something stupid like $15 million a year, $14 million a year, that's just insane. It's just not going to work. You can't do it. If he asked for like $1 million raise, $1.5 million raise max, then yeah, maybe I would consider that. But obviously, going down that road, it just makes the whole organization having to tweak this roster every single season. So, um, I mean, yeah, I probably would try and extend him. I mean, I think
What
he
what's your
gets.
what's your
I think he
caveat?
gets. I think he gets a really bad rap. I mean,
It's not about the bad rap. We have to be realistic about the person that's contract should
yes,
be gone.
I'm talking about. I guess what I'm trying to say. He gets singled out a lot.
It's because of how much he
And
gets paid.
I don't think, like Matthews and Nylander are right there too, and they all should be held accountable to this evenly. You know what I mean?
And that's
Um,
fair. But I
yeah,
think this is the only thing, right? And I'll pose this to you and then I'll let you finish that. I
sure.
think Matthews, in my opinion, is a generational talent. Um he's a special guy that in with the type of gifts that we'll never see for a long time, right? Like there's only a few people every generation that fall into a category of being like special, right? Okay. Um William Nylander brings something to the table regardless of his 50-50 wishy-washy defensive play sometimes.
Yeah.
He's been better when he got forced to play center than Mitch Marner was, who's also supposed to be a center. No, that's just one thing. Okay, that's very small. I understand that. But he creates goal scoring opportunities on his own and has a natural touch to score. Mitch Marner does not have that. Mitch Marner requires someone who can score playing with him for him to be effective offensively.
Yeah, no, I definitely see your point. I mean, the one thing that Marner has over the other two is that he kills penalties.
That's fair, but
Um,
we have to look at it,
yeah, yeah,
and since we've seen people make videos about it, even
yeah.
from slowly drifting away from the Mike Babcock era, he's got weaker and weaker and weaker defensively. And is it that he's getting bad at defense? No, it's his effort that he's
No.
putting in is just not.
So, would you necessarily say that that's a coaching issue?
It could be. It
Yeah.
could be him just becoming a superstar, right? Like you see it a lot in the NBA where guys, as they get higher and higher and make more and more money and get more and more important, they do less and less. They just score. That's all they bring to the table.
So my follow-up to your follow-up question to that is: are you simply curious as to seeing what happens under Craig Berube, because he is,
Maybe.
without without any wrongdoings or anything like that, he is a similar type of coach to Mike Babcock.
Okay, so I'll answer that question
Sure. Well, I
when
want
you
you to.
but I want your caveat of what does Mitch Marner, specifically Mitch Marner, need to do in order to get you a contract? Not what does the team need to do? Like if
um,
he just puts up 100 points, is that all it takes for you to be like, okay, yeah, I'll take him
I
back?
want him. I want him to mainly concentrate on the game and lead by example and create chances like you were talking about on his own. I need him to get away from this BS that he's doing in interviews about, just it kind of feels like he's projecting this sort of thing where he's being picked on, and I just need him to just really man up. I know that's not a thing a lot of people say these days,
I
but
know what you mean.
yeah, it's just, instead of I don't want to use this term, but I don't want him to think that people are attacking him. I just want him to, throw it back at them by just playing his ass off and doing what he needs to
You
do. I'm
want him
trying to
to
be
own up.
politically correct here.
You want him
Yes,
to own up to his mistakes and stop making excuses for it
and I want him to throw it back in their faces and be
with his
like,
play.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
what I want.
So
And
for
I want
me,
him to be, because this core group. is the core group, and they need to lead this team. It's not just Matthews; it's everyone. It's Riley, it's Tavares, it's Marner, it's Nylander. They all need to get together because they've been doing it this whole time, and they haven't been able to get it done. And now that they're there, and they're there for a long period of time, they're going to be in there for the long run. They need to get their together and get going and stop worrying about the media getting on their asses, or a percentage of fans out there that are just being assholes. Sorry, I just swore on YouTube, but it's just they just got to start playing. Fucking play. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I just swore on
Right?
YouTube. Fucking play.
Just fucking
Uh,
play.
yeah, that's a really fair point. That's well put together. I just want one simple thing from him.
We and I want everybody to understand out there, we're rooting for these guys. We are. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
but you
rooting
have to
for.
be realistic about it. You
You
can't
know,
just be I'm
I'm
from here, so they're gonna be good. Like, no, come on.
I
It's not how it
I
works.
understand, but I'm still going to root for them. I want them to do well. I want them to succeed. I'm still a Leafs
Yeah,
fan.
obviously we
It's
want
not
them
going
to
to change.
succeed, but I'm not gonna walk around every day pretending like we're gonna win a Stanley Cup because the media told us that we were good, you
Yeah,
know? Like,
prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. It's so funny. Like an article came out not too long ago, and it just boggles my mind because it just makes me laugh about the media in Toronto. So the article was explaining how the fan base's faith in ownership, and they rated every single team in the NHL. And I believe the Leafs were last, right? Um, but it's so funny because you take certain media outlets and they'll take that one thing and they'll run with it. But when you look at the article, one of the other teams that fell very low was the Edmonton Oilers, which found so funny because they just made it to the finals last year. You know what I mean?
but
It's
they're the exact same
so
team as Toronto.
ridiculous. Yeah, no, but they, no, I understand, but they were able to break through last year. You know what I mean? They were able to make it to the finals. They had a pretty
It was a
successful year.
perfect storm of everything just lining up because like there's Skinner during the regular season was not nearly as good as he played in the playoffs. Their defense during the regular season was not nearly as good as it was when they got into the playoffs, which that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. But when they faced Florida in the finals, okay? When Florida wanted to win, they shut them down. They absolutely shut them down. Florida just got kind of gassed, and the young legs of Edmonton just started picking up, and they couldn't hold them back the whole time. But um, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't bet my money on Edmonton going back to the finals if I was a betting man, which I am
I mean, when you look at all the offseason signings, it looks as though that the league is kind of evened out a little bit, and
a
like
lot.
there's talent is just stretched out. So it's going to be more. It's going to be very difficult.
Don't count out
Um,
Connor. That's the thing, though, right?
and I think he's got more help. So it'd be interesting to see. Um, all right, back to the Leaf thing. Uh,
Mitch Marner needs to play defense if I'm going to resign him. That was my thing.
um, obviously, this past week, Auston Matthews gets to see. Good on him. I mean, he's going to be the captain eventually. In my personal opinion, they could have waited a year. You know what I mean? Like, just play out Tavares' contract, because it just kind of looked a little awkward through the press conference. So maybe I'm making it a little too big out of it, but whatever. It is what it is. But he was going to be captain anyway. My question to you is, and here's the background info. Like, does it really make a difference? Like, giving him the C? You know what I mean? Was it really a thing that needed to happen? And I felt as though that it was something that it was going to happen, because at the end of this year, they talked about making big changes. And I think they came to the realization that one of the big changes they want to make is trying to trade much more. And when they realized that it's not going to happen, they need to do something. And they brought in two defensemen. They brought in a backup goalie, and they brought in a new coach. And maybe they thought that it wasn't enough. And in the middle of August, they came to the realization, oh, let's give Matthews a C. Um, I don't know. It just felt a little weird to me. But do you
Well,
think it makes a difference at
yeah,
all?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I Matthews is your guy, right? We talked about him. I don't need to talk about him anymore in that sense. Matthews is your guy. You paid him the money. He does it for you every year. He gives you numbers that are ridiculous. Um, Maybe he is a leader and we don't know about it because in my opinion, I never felt like Tavares was the guy. So I'm not really super upset by that. Number one. Number two, I'm happy that it wasn't Morgan Riley. Number three, if it went the way they said it went and John Tavares called them up and was like, "This is what I want to do," then I think this is the right move. And I think yes, doing it with one season left is the right move because you get 1 year with the other captain to like put him over. You think of it like wrestling, right? Your old guy, your old veteran's going out. You might resign him, right? But just in case you don't, you have 1 year with this guy who's going to work with him in this faction and is going to put him over so that you know he's the top guy. And he must see something in him in order for that to be the case. It's There's a good chance that I would say the secondary guy would have been probably Marner, but they don't know if they're going to sign Marner, so you're not going to give him a C. And if you do move on from Tavares, you're going to have to move the C anyway. So you might as well do it now while you have someone to help him.
It's so funny because I was listening to the radio the same day that it happened, and the guy on the radio was like, you know, now, it's a necessary thing that needs to happen because if the coach has a problem with the player, he can go through Matthews. And I was like, listen to I was just like, what? If a coach has a problem with the player, they ain't gonna go to the captain. They're gonna go directly to the player that they have a problem with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that was a ridiculous example.
but
But anyway,
but there's a difference, right? Hold on, before you move on from
sure.
that. Matthews has a lot of pull because he's going to be the number one guy on the team. So the guys under him are going to look up to him, sort of like a Sidney Crosby situation or Connor McDavid, where they're like, "Wow, he's so good. Like, if he tells me something, maybe I should listen," type of thing. But also in the captain thing in general, when you have a guy like Mark Messier or Steve Yzerman or Joe Sakic who will kick somebody's butt, who's like not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then maybe you do want to go through the captain to do stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I guess. Yeah. Okay. Campbell, so here's my other take, and let me know what you think. Um, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Um, they say that Matthews was the leader this whole time, right? Even though Tavares had the seat, Matthews was the guy. Uh, could you argue that Matthews being the guy for the last few years, this team has not been that successful? Do you think it'll change?
Maybe Craig Berube's the difference.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Trevling and him together are the difference.
Yeah.
And they see a chance to push. It's like at a job, right? You work at a job. Sometimes people show leadership qualities, but they're not going to go all the way. Sometimes you got to promote them to that level to see what they really have. And maybe this is like seeing is he really the leader that everyone keeps saying he is? Is he going to push us past the limit? Right?
Yeah. But sometimes you got to see it before
But they
it kind of
probably
happens.
are
You
seeing
got
it,
to,
right?
yeah,
He's an
yeah.
informal leader at this point.
Mm.
So he's showing that he has it, but he's just not without the C. He feels like he has to wait before he talks. And now
Yeah.
he doesn't. Now he's in charge of the locker room.
It came out in the media that sometime in July, Shanahan went to Tavares' house, and that was the first time that it was brought up. Shanahan kind of just asked him, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And
Well,
Tavares is like,
let me pose a scenario for you. I don't know. That's not what I meant to say. But in your time of watching the Leafs, okay, since John Tavares has been there, since he got the captaincy, at any point, look, we don't know behind closed doors, but we do know that really freaking doo-doo speech that Sheldon Keefe gave. You guys are really cool dudes.
That
We're in
is
the
a good point.
playoffs. But have
That
you
that is a good point. That we are not in that
Yeah,
inner circle. We
we
don't know
aren't.
what's
But from
going
what
on.
you've seen through the media, through media interviews, and just hearing John Tavares talk, did you ever feel like he was that guy? Because I never did. I
In the
questioned it from
media,
day one.
in the media, no.
Like he was, it's not like he was
I
unprofessional. He didn't seem like a guy that was like, yeah, we're gonna get there and we're gonna do it. You know, it was like, yeah, we're gonna try a little bit harder next time. We'll do some coloring books.
Yeah, in the media, I didn't see that, but I'm going to be honest. I didn't see it from any of them. Um,
But
so
maybe
that's
this is
why.
when it changes.
Yeah, maybe.
Bring back
Um,
the suits. Bring back. I mean, I don't care. You guys don't have to shave. That's fair. But like, bring back the strict rules that the Leafs used to have about stuff. I think some of that stuff is warranted. It's what made the Leafs be. I'm not saying go back in time and treat everybody like garbage, but like bring back some of the stuff that made the team really like serious and feel like a professional organization when you had Doug Gilmore and Wendell Clark and there was like a lot of heart around.
yeah, I would say show it to me on the ice, man. Just show it to me on the ice. I will conclude it with this. When they brought in the new guy, that high exec, I can't remember his name. It kind of escapes me right now. And he came out in the presser. We're not here to sell jerseys. Um, when they gave Matthews a C, they just gave an opportunity. They came up with another opportunity to sell more jerseys. So,
But they did
um,
it in a way where the main goal of the team is not to make money. It's to win.
I hope that translates on the ice. That's all I'm trying to say. Um, I will say it again. I am a fan. I want them to win. I want to see them win, and I'm rooting for them. But we got to be realistic here. It's been years, and it's been the same old stuff. And
You got
it's
one more year. This is your last shot to show me what you got. And then if you don't do it, Tavares is gone, Marner is gone. And I'm
there you go.
retooling. I'm retooling
We're
with
gonna have
that
to
team that I
retool.
have.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I had for you. And yeah, I'm good with that. If you want to ask any questions, but I'm good there, man.
No, I don't have anything. I think you did all of it. All right,
So
guys. Thanks for watching. There you go. He's got a little sip left. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and tell us if you think Caps had enough caffeine today. Thanks. Bye.